Welcome back to the next part of the RV floor repair. So now we have just let it glue up and set. We attached the seams and put this board in. So now I gave it a week to dry just to make sure it sealed up nice. So now we're here to work on it again. And what we're going to do is start by working on this seam right here. So I initially put a chamfer there. Now we're going to take my oscillating tool and we're going to cut along the other side and put another chamfer. The idea is that we put one chamfer on it, so that is this board right here, and the other side has this straight edge. So if we fill it here and go that route, this edge can heave and hoe as it goes down the road, and this edge can cause the flooring to buckle and crack and break. So we're going to cut this at a chamfer so that way we can fill this all in, so that way if this edge goes up or down, or this edge goes up or down, it's pushing the sealant or the epoxy up and down, which does not have a sharp edge across the top of it on the flooring. So this will create a nice smooth transition, and we use a flat edge to go right across the top. It'll be nice and smooth. We can even sand it down afterwards after it hardens to make a nice smooth transition, and you'll never know it's there. So that is the best way to make a long-term flooring gap bridge. So that's what we're going to do next. As you can see, we now have the chamfer in there. It doesn't have to be perfect, but the next thing to do is start filling it in. Then all the screw holes that we have there, we're just going to put a little bit of epoxy in there and then smooth it over across the surface. That way you don't feel the screw holes when you put the flooring back down. And this is how we're laying the bead of epoxy just enough where it's above the surface. And we'll take our block of wood and smooth it out just down the line, so it ends up kind of like this, where it fills in all the low areas. And then after it dries, we'll sand. And here we are, all our holes filled in, just like that. Block of wood that we used to smooth it all out. Yeah, it kind of smeared up there on the top end. Not a big deal because it's very flat, and we'll come back over with orbital sander to smooth out any rough spots, and it'll clean up this area real nice, so you'll never know it's even there. Thanks to the magic of video editing, we have fast forward a week and a half to let the epoxy set up and dry. So the next step is going to be, we're going to take our palm sander. This is an orbital palm sander, any kind will do, and we're going to go down and sand off everything to see where our high and low spots are. Take the high spots away so it doesn't poke through the fabric, and then check to see if we got low spots that are too low, maybe like right here, if we need to go back through and backfill again to make sure it's nice and smooth surface. So now is the time to check it and make it right before we lay down the vinyl again, and then there's no change in it. So we're just going to take our palm sander and knock everything down, see where it looks, and go from there. So we ran the sander over it. That side looks pretty good, but down here, it looks like we got a little low spot there, a little dip in there. And this corner right here doesn't look as nice as I would like it to be. And there's a little bit of a dip right there. So we're going to fill that in with some more epoxy and go from there. Otherwise, it's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty smooth. We're getting there. Alright, so we're back filled in there. I used silicone this time, just a clear silicone that'll fill in, because silicone actually squeezes out real nice and easy. So it makes it easier to fill in the low spots. And fills in, you can see it nice and shiny as it went down. That way it smooths out real nice. And I simply used the edge of my square and just used it to go down the edge to make it nice and even. So now we're going to give this a day or two to set up. And we'll take a piece of sandpaper and just kind of scuff it up lightly to take off the high ridges. Then we're back to putting the vinyl down. And we'll be about done. And through the power of editing, we are back after this is all dried. The next step in the process, take some sandpaper and just try to lightly sand down any high spot and ridges that's on the sealant, and then clean up all the dirt and debris and anything that's underneath it, because the next step of the process is to be laying the vinyl back down. So you want to make sure it's as clean as possible, because that dirt will get trapped underneath there and you don't have to pull it all back up again. As we lay this back down, we're going to take a putty knife and just help it go underneath the edge here as we work our way down the line. Trying to make sure it gets back underneath there the way it was. You're on any hard spots, sit there and work it, help push underneath. Just keep going all the way down the line until it's back the way it was. If you pull it back and you run into issues where sealant was, you can cut it out with your knife, then go back through and keep going down until it's flat as it possibly can be. It will take some time for this to stretch out and get the ribs and ripples out of there, but over time you'll be able to work it back in the way it should be. Now we got the floor tucked in nice. It's all along the seam, but unfortunately, being peeled back so long, it developed a little bit of memory. I had a little bit of ripple in the floor. Since I didn't glue it down, I'm leaving it floating to expand and contract with the weather. We're going to put some boards down and some weight on it, which I had some old rusty rotors laying around, so that's some good weight. And we're going to let it smash this floor back into a new memory. So we're going to let it heat and cool, spend a week or two just sitting out here, and eventually it'll flatten itself back out, or we'll put the rest of the trim back in and make it look pretty again. I just didn't want to go that far because I want it to lay nice and flat, just in case I had to pull stuff back out and if I have to re-glue it or go that route. But it should lay back flat eventually and it'll be good to go.